Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, public comments are open. Anyone from the public need to speak?
Yes.
Okay, come on up, Sherry. Speak into the microphone and tell us who you are.
Good afternoon, I'm Sherry Fletcher, and I'm here on behalf of Buchanan County Public Schools. And this is Cheryl here with me, Tester. And we're here to ask for some assistance for a roof for Hurley Elementary Middle School. The roof has been leaking and is in desperate need of a new roof, and they've been having problems with it for a year or a little over a year, according to the principal there and our maintenance supervisor, Adam Cook. To do the complete roof would be 1.5 million. And the areas that we have the 3 bids on that is leaking very bad is the roof over the auditorium and the roof over the classroom. And these 2 areas here, 3, are the gym and the locker room.
Which part's leaking?
Well, it's all leaking bad. The worst areas is the auditorium and the classroom section. Yes, the 2 bigger parts. And that would be $1 million. So to complete it all would be 1.5. And they said they could patch this thing, but in 2 to 3 years, you'd be right back having to do it, and price could increase. So we're here to ask for some assistance.
Anyone have any questions, Sherry? Did you check to see if, how the, COVID money was used, not used on the furniture
Yes.
for the roof?
Construction money that the state gave us this year, and it's saying that over the 2025, and that can be used for purchase of chairs and bed reverse and stuff for the consolidated.
The office is over, how much of that money do you have at 1.1?
At the end of June, we should have about 1.2.
Do you think it's going to cost us
Equipment, because your technology center is going to be up there too. So to have all of the equipment and furnishings for the new school.
That's it. Tim Rowland, the school board, is the board. I'm trying to how have you how the school board meetings is for the board.
Yeah, they wanted to ask if you offer that, that was the one. And I wanted to keep that money together with the furniture in school.
On their budget, they ask for anything for it.
I'm not for sure if
No, we don't have
they were
anything in
aware.
budget for it. No, I don't think we were, I was not aware of the roof leaking until the past, board meeting, I guess, not aware of board meeting.
I mean, it's no secret. I did a video yesterday. I plan on filing an injunction on the school board, as soon as they get a little closer to getting their money, Hurley High School, to hopefully move that school to Slate Creek or Rock House. So, you're looking at a 2-year construction on school. So we're probably 3 years out by the time all that is said and done. I just feel like maybe we should use this construction money to do the roof, because the roof does need done, obviously, and then whether the school's built on Rock House or Southern Gap, it needs new furniture, and I would support new furniture, at either place. If I lose my bat on court or on this board, and the school ends up going to Southern Gap, my kids still have to go to Southern Gap. So, I'm going to support new furniture at either school. However, it's going to put the school board and this board in a situation where we have to allow that to be reappropriated every year, are we not? I just think we should use it and then put budget amounts in each year to start saving money for this furniture, because we're probably 3 years on needing that money for furniture, are we not?
Yeah, yes, and when we made a commitment that we would
try to make sure there was money set aside when the school was ready.
Because I knew none of us want to move into a new school with old furniture. We did that at Riverview, and so we would like to have it looking nice and be something we're very proud of.
I
So
think
that's
what-
why we want to
I think
ensure.
what the board, I mean, obviously, we're we have taxing abilities, we're the ones that has revenue, the school doesn't. So I think, I would like to see the school board use this construction money to, put a new roof on the entire building over there, and then, starting our next budget cycle to, start putting X amount of dollars on a 3-year program to, cover the costs that you're needing on your furniture and things of that nature, so.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Ms. Fletcher, would it be an option to take the county not reappropriate the 1.6, set it in a line item budget in our account for school construction, and then give you the you said 5 to do both
That
buildings?
would do the complete roof.
The state has asked, with, given the instructions to all school divisions that receive this money, to ask the county to get an escrow fund, for the school system, so we're not in construction, they did not use it this year, and that's that they, so that we can keep that and continue to.
Only raise that, so it's my question, school board. And the budget. And they said, but. That's the, you, something. On their whole budget.
Any good life that we've done that we made it, any work that we did not do at the time, so we were moving it. But I was looking on the budget, so we don't like, I think that.
That is hard. On a budget, he did it worked out. And then you're ready to balance that budget back there. So you would have to come up with another. It's pretty big, or they come up with their after you. So.
Needed, definitely, and I think we're gonna have to do it there, but I would like to see it there.
Is the
You know,
price you're
requested
giving us
earlier there.
pretty, accurate to what you're talking about, or
Yes, sir. It
it's
was,
just an estimate?
no, it was, we had the bids on it, the 3 bids, and that was the lowest bid. Yes, that was the lowest.
What, Mr. Chairman, if I may? Yeah. Ms. Fletcher, what's the dollar amount that you anticipate the furniture to be in the new building?
I do not have the exact amount, Mr. Stiltner. I just came in, yeah.
Just guessing, naturally, we don't want to build a $80 or $100 million building and put used furniture in it.
Right.
So, just off the top of your head,
And I would, and what they have asked me to do, so, of course, I'll be having new administration.
And I would say, Mr. Stiltner, that it will take that because, at council, where we have just, they were flooded, to put furniture in the lab over there was like 20-some thousand.
I
And that
would
was one
support.
classroom.
I would support either what we had talked about earlier, keeping the 1.6 and putting it in a line item budget and then funding you for the roof, or letting you keep the 1.6 and then adding 500,000 a year to our current budget into a line item. That'll give us 3 years to get the
Put one in
1.5,
half a million a year.
$500,000 in a year.
I'm fine. I think we need to do that, and that way.
Yeah. That's just, I'm just one vote, but I would support that.
So let them go ahead and use that 1.6 through.
And then put
That
500,000
way
in
we
the
split
budget
it up
for
over
3
3
years.
years trying to buy the furniture.
They're not doing school,
Right.
next couple of years.
No.
Mr. Horn?
So is the 1.6 in next year's budget? They have it now.
No, because it's, you have the state is requested that we have every body to put that in the escrow account for us to not this year, and we have not used it.
We have to wait, reappropriate, that's what's supposed to be, so.
The budget,
Not the use for the roof.
it's not in their budget at all.
It is this year's budget. It's not in
You can't spend it on a roof by June 30th, can you?
No, we can't.
So,
You may go ahead and contract and get started, but you'll probably spend most of it July and August and September. So they don't have the 1.6 in their total budget.
They said they could do the roof this summer.
Are we good with the way I talk?
talking to our lawyer,
Letting them keep, reappropriate the 1.6 to them in July. It's yes, for the roof, not to hold the furniture, for the roof. And we need to make sure when we reappropriate that over, allow them to carry that over, that it is earmarked for that. And putting 500,000 a year in this year's budget and the 2 following years.
Really, it's been cash.
We
Probably
can
not appropriation, but we can do that in another way.
put 500,000 a year in each of the 3 next budgets, and that will be for furniture for the new building. That's my motion.
Make a motion.
But just so we're clear, Craig's motion is to, we're requesting the school board to put a roof on Hurley Middle School, full roof, 1.5 out of the 1.6 money they have in the construction account that they currently have. With understanding we're gonna put 500,000 a year starting this, new budget that we're working on now. 500,000 for 3 years to cover the, furniture for the new school.
Yes.
Correct? Second. It's generally what they want to do is okay. We just have, it's more cash than it is budget. 2 different words, but yes, we do that. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Brannum? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yeah.
And I'm a yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Chad, want to add something?
Hey, just
Mr. Orr.
The elementary middle. Okay. Where did the 1.6 that you got instruction from? Where did it-
The state had, this year had to enter the budget to give school divisions money, and theirs was a little over 1.6, and that we will get that by the end of June. They give us so much every month, and it's like, some thousand every month in the beginning, and it will equal, like I said, like right at 1.6, and then we were a little bit over. But that's state money that they gave us, and they had, we did not spend it to request their governing body to put it into an escrow fund for us to use for the next 2 years.
And, who won the bid for the? Yeah.
I have it right here. It's COLA. I have it here for you. It's COLA. That was the lowest bid. Thank you. And thank you all.
Have anyone else here for public comments? State your name, please.
My name is Ed Birds, and I just moved here from Washington State. When I was up there, I worked in the aerospace industry. I'm an electronics engineer. And one of the things that we had going up there that, aside from all the craziness that's going on up there, we had cheap power. I come down here and I'm getting a shock from Appalachian Power. My bill is over 100% higher than what it was up there. And I've got a lot less I'm using a lot less electricity. 100%. Yeah. And, the reason we had such cheap power up there is that the Columbia River runs through the center of the state. And there's dams all up and down the Columbia River. And we have probably the cheapest power in the nation. Now, I've been here long enough to see that you don't have big rivers like the Columbia. But there's a lot of people up there that were even using what they call low head hydroelectric for personal use, because even though they had the cheapest power, a lot of people east of the Cascades are extremely conservative. Not like the western part. The western part is completely crazy. Anyway, I noticed that you had a lot of small rivers and creeks and stuff that could use low head hydroelectric, and low head hydroelectric would make things a lot better here for you if you could figure out a way to do that. One of the things is lower your electric rates, which you would attract business. And with business, then you get, instead of having empty business locations and empty housing locations, I've seen a lot of houses that are just, they're just going downhill. They won't be able to be salvaged soon. And if we we'll figure out some way to use low head hydroelectric, we could get it back like it used to be here. I can see it used to be a lot more prosperous here. And it would be nice to be able to do that. And although I'm an electronics engineer, I don't think I would be qualified to engineer the dams or anything like that. Dirty Harry said it best. You got to know your limitations. I worked on aircraft and boats and stuff like that, but I've never done anything with hydroelectric or anything like that. I'd like to figure out some way we could do that. I don't know how to do it yet. I've been trying to find some low head hydroelectric components somewhere online, but I'm not intelligent enough to know what to look for, I guess, because I can't find anything yet. I know it's out there. I just got to figure out how to ask for what I need.
You realize where you're at, don't you?
Yeah. And I know coal is pretty important down here.
Yeah,
But,
and natural gas. And we're probably one of the richest counties in natural resources here. And we're not using any of that. And we're probably not going to use water either. I mean, I've tried to push natural gas here for quite some time. I can't get anybody on board to do that because there's no reason why the majority, well, anything in this county should be on natural gas, because there's parts of this building is on natural gas. 1/2 of this building is, the other building. So
somebody was telling me that Appalachian Power is using mostly natural gas now. They're phasing out the coal plants.
And that may very well happen, and that's fine. That took me to death because I'm for natural gas. You know? But
I'd like natural gas would be pretty good, but except hydroelectric is much cheaper.
And we don't do any of them. And you bring up a very good point. I mean, and the administration, this should have been done 40 years ago. We shouldn't even be talking about that right now because we have been so rich in natural resources, renewable energy right here for years and years and years, and no administration prior to this push that agenda any further. You know, we take all of our resources and the money we make out of it and we disappear from it, which is a problem. We should be fully, power independent with the energy that we produce in this county. Definitely, it should be. So I appreciate you talking about, energy produced by water, but, I would definitely be on board to be using a renewable energy prior to that. We should be doing that. Our leaders, that have way more power than we do ought to be doing that for us because they're not stupid. They know that it's here, but they choose not to do those things. But it needs to be pushed. Somebody needs to push it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take, I don't know what it's gonna take. But this stuff's here and we should be using it. And your power, would
Tax
be-
lines run when you're a few years back.
and your power would be reduced significantly by that. You wouldn't see a big charge.
Yeah, I was just totally shocked that normally, the farm and the apartment together was less than $50. Here it's it's $161 is my last bill.
Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
Craig Botetourt Power in, / Craig County, Botetourt County. Their power bills for those homes up there are a third as to what our power bills are here. Now, unless I'm missing something, they generate power a lot the same way. So a lot of it is in the name, Appalachian Power, Appalachian Electric, now AEP. But you are correct on the hydroelectric. I've done research on it, and it's kind of crazy that you show up today, because actually, it ain't been a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at some things that you can actually fit inside of water lines, like in your PSA water lines. There's systems there that you can set up, we have a lot of abandoned mine sites that has continuous flow of water. One of them's up Harmon, and I mean, it puts out humongous strength of water. You're not going to look at it, you're not looking at something in those locations that's going to, power the whole county. But if you set several up throughout it and sell the power back, then you distribute it out through the citizens. There's ways of countering it. So you are right. Hydro,
Yeah, you could put a rough guess. If you could put in 12 hydroelectric power plants, from what I've been able to see around, around Grundy here, that would probably be enough to power the whole county.
So we looked at several years ago, we talked about putting a dam in Knox. And actually we were pretty much late about, even talking about it. And now recently we're trying to get, work on some things for, Southern Gap on the, lower end of Sunset. Building a small dam there and basically doing the same thing in that area. Those are two areas that have water that could be dammed with minimal effect to homes. And you could build hydroelectric from either one of those places. Plus, it would give you a second, third water source for Buchanan County. And that way, maybe we wouldn't have to buy so much water. But anyway, I agree with you. I mean, there is ways that we can look at it. AEP is extremely bad.
There's a gas company here, what's the name of those guys, Appalachian Gas or is that what it is, Appalachian Gas? They own a franchise on it. And they're holding that ball and they're not playing with anybody. And that hurts us very, very bad. And we need to figure out, Lee, and we talked about this before, how we can force their hand on that and get them moving or get it taken away from them. Because they shouldn't be sitting there on that because they're just holding and not doing anything.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we need to go back and take a look at that because I've put in multiple calls over the last 18 months to that headquarters over in Abington with that company. I don't even get the courtesy of a reply, of a callback. It's like they just are ignoring us.
Because we'd got to a point here, we met with them and we were in the process of running a test. We were supposed to run some flyers out and take some names, because there's a pipeline runs into town. And we were gonna get some names and who was interested in this, because it takes volume. It does. Somebody's gotta be interested in it. If you're interested in it, then we can get the money to do this type of stuff, you know? That's as far as it went with those guys. It never went any farther than that.
Yeah, I remember we had a meeting with them here. It was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. It seemed it was a while back, and they said they were gonna do that. But I don't know that we ever heard what the results were. And and in the last 2 years, I've tried several times to get in touch with them. And I've left messages, voicemails, and I just don't get any kind of response back. So I remember there was some type of procedure with the State Corporation Commission that maybe we could get their attention. And if y'all want me to take another look at that, I'd be happy to do so. It was a little involved, as I recall, but I think there's something we could probably do.
That's what I do, man. I mean, and I take care of, I've got over 4,000 wells in West Virginia from Hurley to Beckley that I take care of. We have multiple customers on gas, and this stuff works. We have little widow ladies, in the late 80s that we get gas to them, and their electric bills are $100. You know, everything they got runs off natural gas, and it works. And it does, you know. So this stuff is and we have it here. It's everywhere, and we need to be able to utilize it as much as we can. But it's just getting that movement that we just can't get that ball rolling for.
And, multiple low-head hydroelectric dams, the maximum height usually should be about 12 feet. And so there's a lot of spots along I can't remember what the name of that river is. That goes right through town, yeah. Multiple spots on that, you could put small dams.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming.
Thank you. I was just hoping we can get the board thinking about that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comments?
Hi, my name is Wanda Vance, and I'm here representing the Appalachian College of Pharmacy and the Garden Alumni Association. We are in the process of finishing our planning for our annual Garden Day. And we do call it that, but it's opened up to the entire county. It's a community event now. And I think there's a letter in your folders where we've asked for some contributions, and we were asking for a little more than we normally get because COVID really put a dent in our donations. We've only gotten one this year, and I sent the letters out pretty early. My buddy Clyde Stacy came through for me, but we were needing a little more. We have a bunch of new stuff happening this year. We have an author of a cookbook from Castlewood. I know you've heard of Linda Skeens. She's been on the Today Show. She's been on Mike Huckabee, and she has agreed to come, and her cookbooks will be available to buy. And I think WCYB is coming to document that. We have a company out of Bristol coming called Healing Hydration. If you're interested in the IV infusions and the patches for health, they'll be set up in our garden lounge, and you will be able to do an IV infusion. Our health unit will be set up doing flu shots and health checks. And we were just asking for a little more than we normally get so we can get the ball finished rolling.
What was the dollar amount? I didn't see it
I
on the
think it was,
contribution.
I think the last one, I'd have to ask Ms. Harmon, but I think the last one was maybe 3,000. And Clyde had sent us 1,000. He does every year. And then last year, because of COVID, we didn't charge a lot of our vendors. I didn't charge any of my food vendors, and my authors I didn't charge, just so I could get them back, because a 2-year absence really put a dent in it. You know how the council festival, you got to build it back up. And
So
You're saying you need 3,000.
Probably more than that if you can spare it.
What do we normally, what are we?
I think 3,000 is what we normally get. Yeah,
Did I hear you say Clyde gave how much?
I gave 1,000. He does every year.
I would too.
He's a garden graduate, so
I was worth about $500,000.
I know. I don't ask for much. It's any little help we can get, because the donations is what we use to rent the tents that the people sit under. We pay the musicians and entertainment. We rent chairs and just different stuff that we have to do for the preparation.
Kind of the, past graduates of Garden High School, but with that being said, from a Grundy guy, tell you what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a donation out of my company.
Oh,
And at
thank
the
you.
same time, I'm gonna probably match what Mr. Stacy has done,
Okay.
because that's,
I know.
I'm going to, make a motion that, as a board, we, split 3,007 ways. And, that's in the form of a motion. 3,007 ways. Give me your information and I'll send it to you.
Okay. It's a contribution, yeah. Yeah.
And your motion put $1,000 there, maybe I put 3,000.
I want to amend my motion. Mr. Cooper's gonna give 1,000 out of his, and then we're gonna split, you say 7 ways, Jeff, or 6?
Well, if you take us, it don't matter. I mean, we can
Okay.
do that too.
Alright.
Just split it back 7 ways and I'll
Yeah.
just do an addition.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll say. We have a motion on the floor.
Signed it for 500.
Second.
It's
It's 3,007 ways, yeah.
Plus the additional, like, what do I need to do? Well, you'd have to sign it too.
Well,
Me and Craig will be giving that.
I'm gonna do mine now, my company account.
How do I get up with you over that? What's the company? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
There you go. Man,
Actually, we didn't vote on it. I seconded the motion. You seconded, okay. Okay, Trey. Mr. Branham, Mr. Stiltner.
Yeah.
Mr. Rife. Mr. Rife. Mr. King. Mr. Cooper. And I'm a yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
you can reach me on that, just text me that address. And I'll send you that.
Anybody else for public comments?
I came on behalf of the Coyotes cheer squad for Riverview, and we're requesting funds for uniform, shoes, etc. There's a lot of girls that won't get to participate. I know that Drew's daughter's on it with my daughter. Fortunately, my daughter's taken care of. It probably is. But this league has 98 children, or the squads have 98. 98. There's 30, yeah, I have it broke down by numbers. But we have Twin Valley also with us. It's not just, Riverview, we have Twin Valley students. When they had their first meeting on it the other night, and there are several, families that are, probably not going to get to do it. And, I offered to try to help, and that's why I'm here.
I mean, it can't hurt to try, but there were several children that were not going to get because, oh, well, the shoes alone, I don't know an exact number, to be honest. It's kind of got on my shoulders on my own. The math, last year, my daughter's uniform for everything was $280. There's 98 children. Now, given I don't have an accurate count yet on who has what, there will be several that have uniforms from last year. And there are several children that are buying uniforms that were used from girls in the previous year that can't wear them anymore. The shoes alone for that many girls was $3,430.
Most of these, I mean, you're not asking.
No, just whatever, not all of them need it. Like, I know my daughter's taken care of, I believe Drew's is. There are several that are. I'm just trying to get what help that I can for children that just,
Ballpark figure how much you need, or how many kids are doing without, or?
I would guess about $8,000 to $9,000. That's off the top of my head. If shoes alone are $3,000, because you're taking $280 for,
But you're talking about, we say that.
Well, y'all really included it on the.
whatever we would get a ballpark of how many girls had nothing. Obviously, each parent would have to try to buy some on their own, but whatever was left, what we were gonna do this year was try to, whatever is bought with money, if we get funds from this, the items will be put back. And they'll be used next year to the next group of girls that want to cheer. They didn't cut anybody this year. They didn't want to cut anybody. No, this is just for the Coyotes Football League. This is just regular school. It's not a, they don't go to state or anywhere else. Okay.
We usually require you have a nonprofit that is giving their paperwork to us, showing they're registered with Virginia and they are a 501c3 organization.
Ever set this league up, it is under,
You have to talk to our attorney about giving the one group that's not qualified for
The
another.
league cheerleader, the Little League cheerleaders that's cheering for the football.
They have a little league.
It should be the same group in the
For
market.
football?
Yeah, that's what it says, through the school, the Little League, which,
Mark's gonna take it.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
You can donate it to me.
that's what I say, I mean, the football program, we donate to every year. Yeah, they're a 501c3,
it's listed as Rising Wave,
but it's Twin Valley and Civil.
it's Twin Valley, and yeah, Twin Valley Girls came to merge with us, but, whoever, I was gonna get that paperwork, but whoever set this up didn't set it up as the nonprofit.
Margaret doesn't necessarily have to act. It's just money was funneled through Mark. So it's called Coyote.
No, I mean, that's fine, it doesn't matter to me ever how it works, I just wanted to try to help where I could.
Because you're more that money that, but it's for purely for, I think,
We can, but once we give it to them, we can't tell them how to use it. We can say this is what's for our market, so we'll do what he says.
we just hope Mark does.
Because you're a much market.
I'll go play for the college, but too,
It's like his dad has a purely.
play for the same program.
Just as good a singer you are.
A little bit better.
I have a letter that has a breakdown if you guys need it. It tells how many girls are on.
You have 98 kids.
The back is the front, and the front page of the front.
Because you got 90-some kids, but basically what she's asking for, if I understand correctly, is just those, to help those who don't have.
Because
The
right,
funds.
it would be really hard right now for me to go to 98 kids when they just had their meeting Wednesday. And for me, like I said, I've had less than a few days to prepare for this, and for me to try to reach out to 98 families and say, do you have a skirt? Do you have shoes? Do you have a shell? Do you have you know, everything you need. So I'm a little ill prepared, but I'm doing the best I can with what time that I had to ask for help.
$7,000 help.
Anything would help. I mean, I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, you know, whatever we get will be spread evenly to those that need it, and we will keep whatever we purchase for next year's squads. Because it's an astronomical fee, almost $300 for a uniform. And if your girl outgrows it, you know, the next year you're looking at it again, so. Some of them are doing individual ones, there's not an overall fundraiser for all of them. Each family, if they chose to, were doing them. And I do know that several have already taken care of their expenses. I'm gonna guess about half of them.
I like both of them. $7,000. That takes care of 25. So that would be a third.
And then we can try to fundraise and do, and, you know, I can probably rally donations from individuals that I know also, but I was just trying to get
How was it? Gonna run it through the, yeah, they just wanna go through, the markets, yeah. Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, McCracken. Yes. Buchanan. Stiltner. Yes. Mr. Wright. Yes. King. Yes. Cooper. Yes. And I'm a yes.
He's up walking now. He's gonna get there. All right, guys, am I good to go? Thank you, guys.
I tell you,
Have a good one.
just get with Marcus, Melissa, just get with Marcus and he'll tell you when the money's available.
Oh, was you on the speak?
Thank you for your time. My name is Danny Lowe, and what I'm here for, I just wanted to ask Mr. Moise how he is progressing on our discussion last month.
Is this in reference to the drag?
Yes.
Well,
I think that basically, it's highly doubtful that the county has the authority to do something like that. And even if we did, it would be extremely difficult to enforce. And I would urge the board to consider not taking any action, because quite frankly, I think to do so, you create something, a resolution that we probably couldn't enforce, and it would just put a target on our county. And I would just recommend that we not do anything. That would be my recommendation.
Why couldn't you enforce it?
To enforce a resolution, I mean, we'd have to basically be able to pass an ordinance. And I don't think that the Commonwealth has given us that authority. Under Dillon's rule, we only have the authority to enact ordinances that the General Assembly has given us permission to do so under Virginia statutes, or it's in the Virginia Constitution. I understand your concern. I'm very sympathetic, but I just don't think that there's anything that we can do. I don't know of any authority to be able to do what you've requested us to do. And a resolution in and of itself is essentially not enforceable by any type of, you really have to have teeth. It has to be an ordinance. And I don't think there's authority to adopt an ordinance along the lines of what you've requested.
Mr. Chairman, one thing that I would like to clarify to the board and to the press, I'm not here representing any political party. I'm here representing myself and any other citizens of the county that feels the same way that I do. I know there's been some things that's put in the press that refers to a political party, and I'm not here representing any political party, so just wanted to clarify that with you all.
We have to, go by what our lawyers telling us. I guess kind of be on the safe side, but we do appreciate you.
Well, I'll let it play for, see what they read.
That's what we.
By some chance, you find some locality within Virginia that's done something and probably would be some type of ordinance.
Yeah.
Please let me know,
I will.
okay?
Okay, thank you all.
Do you have anyone else for public comment? We have anyone online, Ken?
They've all been asked.
Okay. Yeah, we got public hearings. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Okay, let's move on to number 9. We're behind on some public hearings. Yeah. Okay, number 9, public hearing to hear public comments regarding the land use permit and surface use agreement and right-of-way easement for a pipeline crossing on County Road number 615 Dog Pound Road.
Good evening. I'm Rod Winters. I'm with the land agent with Pillar Energy, small independent company out of Charleston, West Virginia. And we've approached the county for a surface use permit that I wasn't really familiar with at the time doing West Virginia. A lot of things I'm not familiar with in Virginia as far as the permitting. But anyway, we went through the process, and it's actually where the old landfill is off of Hoodow Road, Route 615. We have 2 wells north of there that were drilled by Hard Rock in 2006, 2007, never been put in line. And with the short-lived increase in natural gas prices, we started this process and hoping for another rebound. We just finished about a 2-mile line over on Patterson Road of a well drilled by Hard Rock, never put in line, and we just got it turned in. So in the process of doing this, and then talking to several people here, Lee, Marcus, and Sandy's been a lot of help straightening me out. We've understand the process, and I've been through the agreement, and I believe I've sent. Did they get copies of maps? Yeah, it's
What kind of line are you running?
it's a 2-inch steel line. 2-inch steel line. It's not a transmission line. It's just a gathering line for 2 wells going into the south to a CNX meter site, low pressure all the way. The questions that came up and then we discussed was the actual permit for the landfill, the actual encapsulation of the landfill that is no longer in use. We had all intentions. Our route excludes that area. It runs to the north of that, or to the west of it, I'm sorry. And we don't have any intentions of being in the landfill, and wanted to put before you if anyone had any comments or questions or objections to us actually executing the surface use agreement.
You good, Lee? I'm good.
Well, I have a lot of concerns, and I do appreciate. I think Mr. Winters being very candid and very honest about how they are trying to approach this project. But when all this started, and we realized that it was going to be on the county's property that where the landfill was located, and the county went through quite a process to legally close that landfill with DEQ. In fact, we weren't able to finally get out of the monitoring and all the engineering costs of that involved until like 2011. And when we finally got the blessings of DEQ that we had done everything and everything had passed and we could, officially not continue to monitor the situation. When this came up and it looked like the landfill could potentially be in play here with this request, I contacted Daniel or Scott Daniel with DEQ, and he had actually been involved with the process of closing the landfill from the DEQ standpoint back in the up to the 2011 timeframe. And he said we had to be extremely careful to stay off the cap of the landfill. You can't put anything on the cap because it could potentially disturb what's been buried underneath, and we could actually trigger having to open the whole thing back up, have the monitoring costs, which were thousands and thousands of dollars, I'm sure, each year. So I'm very skeptical. I'd like to see us try to work something out with Pillar Energy. We'd like to always work with our energy companies. The only thing I can think of to be absolutely sure that we're not getting ourselves into a predicament is to get DEQ to go out to the site and actually follow the path that y'all are proposing for the pipeline and see what they say. I understand that y'all are indicating that you're when you understand the cap is, that you're not going to be on it. But it could be a pretty big liability situation for the county if something goes awry. Now, I did put in the surface use agreement that they would have to comply with all the,
Can I cut you off, Matt? It sounds like we're not gonna vote on this tonight because there's too many problems. So here's what bothers me about that. We're standing here, this gentleman showed up for a meeting, all these people waiting, and there's all kinds of problems. Why hasn't this been worked out? And when I asked you, was you good with it? You either said yes or no. It should have been a yes, and then if it was a no, he shouldn't even be here. You should have got that worked out prior to the meeting.
Right now, Mr. Atkins, if you're asking my recommendation, it would be no.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying,
I don't know why we're sitting here.
what I'm trying to give the opportunity is to see if there's a way to work something out. Right now, we don't have it worked out. And, I was very frank with Mr. Winters last week that it was going to be an uphill battle.
That's what I'm telling you. He should have been told no before the meeting. It shouldn't have wasted the public's time or our time sitting here because clearly the answer is no, and we would be pretty dumb to vote for it. Vote for it when you advised the board not to do it tonight. So why was there not a resolution to it before he came here tonight? If there's a problem with the landfills.
Let me ask the question, since it's in my district, are you going through the landfill?
We're going on the property that contains the landfill. We're going to, as best we can tell, just short of an actual survey that we didn't feel like we wanted to spend the money on a survey through the documents I've read where the permit was applied for in the 97, whenever. When the permit was applied for the landfill, it gave the description of where the landfill was. And then in the closing of the landfill, it described where the cap was, the materials used. And we've done field investigations. We got permission to be on the property. And we assumed we're kind of up in the woods, and we assumed that the cap wasn't in the woods, but where the area was found. So what our focus would be going forward, that if we can get the approval, would be to go in and with a licensed surveyor and survey it. And I'm more than willing to have any representative DEQ or whatever engineer.
How far are you from the actual landfill itself? Where the action took place?
Through flagging it and GPS points, probably we're at some places we're 50, 60, 70 some feet off of that end over there. And it's a 2-inch line.
So what's the problem?
And another thing too, there's portions that will be above ground, but like in the area where there's ATV trails and things, we've agreed to bury them and put pipeline markers on either side to notify of crossings. And also in the comments in some of the material that was provided to me in the permit, I don't remember what person it was, but what engineering firm it was, but it just said if you're basically 5 feet away from the cap, you weren't doing any harm to the landfill.
So let me ask you this, can we not make a motion to allow him to put his line in, and Jeff knows more about this than I do, with the understanding in the resolution that if there's an issue comes up with the landfill, that they have to remove the line at their expense? Can that not be
Biggest
done?
question to me there is, sir, DEQ there. We closed that landfill to 11. We had all kinds of problems getting all the permits and everything there.
And it's still, how many years do we have to monitor that?
That requirement ended in 2011. We met all the regulations and we were able to end the monitoring and we did that with DEQ's blessing. What I've been told from DEQ is that you can't do any activity on the cap at all. And the problem is I can't tell where the cap is. I've gotten Sonny involved in this and we tried to find a map. We can't find a map. So, I mean, it's the only thing I can think, if y'all want to approve this on the condition that this is done under the supervision with DEQ's involvement, I mean, I'm talking about getting DEQ to come out and walk the path to make sure that we're not getting involved with the cap.
All I'd vote for is if DEQ is involved, if need be, and we have in our resolution that if the line has to be removed for whatever reason, because of that landfill, that it
Chairman,
comes out at their expense.
With the Lee's reservations with this, I feel like this is something that needs to go back to the drawing board. Mo East needs to meet with these people and we need to get some of this stuff squared away. It's just my opinion.
Right.
My recommendation is I don't feel comfortable voting on.
And honestly, if the company is willing to get a survey done, that would be tremendously helpful.
Well, we're getting ready to have a continued meeting, so get the ball rolling.
We're trying to be as cost effective as we can. A surveyor costs a lot of money and if we don't really budget it down, we're just out the money on a survey, so.
How many wells do you serve up there with this 2-inch line? 2 wells.
I mean, what Sonny plotted out for me, because I asked him to plot out where the line was going. I got the impression that it was going to avoid the cap, but I couldn't be sure. And we couldn't find a map that absolutely showed you where the cap was. And I know that sounds crazy, but we've been trying to look for that this prior week. You would think that we would, but apparently we don't.
I just got a message from Toby Edwards, and Toby said that, let me find it here. Toby says that he knows the boundaries because he did the closure on it. So Toby, so maybe we need to get Toby, input on this maybe would be a good idea. Anything that affects the landfill.
I didn't realize that Toby was involved in the closure, but
Yeah,
if
he
he
just
said,
messaged me.
if he said he was, and certainly he's the director of the regional waste.
Anything, so I think we need to have Toby in on this since he was the one that closed it.
That would probably be a good
Because he
idea.
can go up there and show, I'm sure, pinpoint the boundaries and everything, so.
If they would work with Sonny, and we could be assured that they're not gonna be going across the cap in any way. And that we have DEQ's blessing on this.
I think we need to hold off on this.
You need to
Look at it a little bit.
check and see
I agree.
if it affects that landfill in any way
Well,
and be sure. before
we'll have a
give
continued
permission
meeting
to
on
vote
the
on it
budget.
or
Mr.
not.
Rife, I agree. I
So if
think
we
you're
get
right.
something done for them, we'll approve. We're gonna try to help them. We need to get Toby involved somehow, cause he done it, so.
Do y'all have an in-house surveyor?
No.
Okay.
We use,
We're burying across the trail. It's the 2-inch line's been buried across the trail. He's above ground everywhere else. If it gets to be an issue, we cut the cap, move, it's easy to move above ground pipe. It's a 2-inch pipe. It's not complicated. What he's doing is not rocket science.
I did get the impression from DEQ that, as far as the cap was concerned, I mean,
If that cap's anywhere around these trails, are all over that cap. Based on what we're looking at, and that's where he's staying at. If we were concerned with the cap, we're tearing it up on trail. If he's staying in that area. We're making a mountain out of oil right here. I let this boy run his pipe, and that's how we down to.
Mr. Cooper,
I've got a legal question on this. Can we not discuss this?
I'm gonna ask that we table this, discuss this in closed
Yes,
session,
that's
please.
what I say.
I'm gonna
We
ask
need to
that-
do that in closed session.
Let me say one thing before we
Just hang
table
tight.
it though. I hunt the whole area
where he's talking about. And to me there, you know, where the dog pound is, there in the building there. If you could go under that, right there at the top of the gap, and go around that landfill, come right out where you want to go the other way. But, I absolutely ain't gonna vote for nothing that goes through that landfill after all the problems we had, getting that closed.
Can I just ask one question? Is the definition of going through the landfill, going through the area that's capped, the actual landfill?
I'm gonna ask that we table this with no more discussion until we talk about this in closed session, please. Mr. Chairman. Is that okay? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is that okay?
If Mr. McWee says we can go in for it, that's fine.
It's legal.
We can, I mean,
I'm gonna ask that we table this. We're getting in area that needs to be discussed in closed session, legal. No, I'd ask that no more discussion be talked about this until we discuss this in closed session.
Okay. Out there, partner. Do we have anyone else public comments on this, public hearing? Anybody online, Kenneth? We have a motion to close public hearing. Second, Mr. King, any discussion? Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham?
Yes.
Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Wright?
I'm sorry.
Mr. King? Mr. Cooper? Yes. And I'm a yes. Okay, we'll table this matter. So we'll come back. Let's go to number 12, the other public hearing right now. Number 12, to hear public comments on the proposed secondary 6-year plan for fiscal years 2023, 2024 through 2028, 2029 in Buchanan, and on the secondary system construction budget for fiscal year 23 and 24. Anyone have a public comment on this public hearing?
Motion to close.
There's a motion to close. We have a second. Second. Mr. Branham, any discussion? Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Wright? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper? And I'm a yes. Number 13, consider adopting resolution approving the secondary 6-year plan
Motion.
for fiscal years. We have a motion by Mr. Stiltner. Second by Mr. King. Any discussion? Mr. Cooper? Mr. King? Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Branham? Mr. Atkins? I'm a yes. Okay, let's move back and get tips up on these other ones. Ed Rice, resident, to discuss an issue with dogs.
Drive, I live in the Knox district on main Knoxville first. Over the last several years. Loud right now, dude.
Hey, I'm with some of these other guys.
Yeah,
Hard to hear.
I apologize for that, Phil. But, my name's Ed Drive. I live on main Knox in the Knox district. We've had some, bad issues over the last 4 or 5 years with dogs. And I know that's a sore subject for you guys. Okay, thank you. And, you know, I don't want a leash law. I don't want, people with pleasure dogs, hunting dogs to be bothered. But I would like you to revisit the ordinance that you all looked at a couple of years ago that made it a misdemeanor to let your dogs run loose off your property. It would in fact be the same punishment, Mr. Horn, as letting dogs run loose on a county property. You all had talked about, well, like $150 fine and pick the animals up. You all had a vote on that.
I want to thank Mr. Stilton, Mr. Rice, and Mr. Brown. They supported that at the time. And I really like your other four gentlemen to reconsider, look at this. As you look at these pictures, that's $3,000 worth of damage. The three dogs did at 3 o'clock in the morning. It sounded like the end of the world when I walked outside. 3 dogs, 3 dogs. And the reason I brought that inner fender, you ought to look at, you seen the teeth marks in it. I would rather stand here and plead with you to enact that ordinance. What if there had been a child or an elderly person that walked outside at 3 in the morning on that, like I did? How would you like to face a parent or a grandparent to show you a picture of a child with its face mauled off instead of that car fender front end or that fender well? All I'm asking for is you could reconsider, let God be your compass, vote what's right. Don't worry about the 5 votes you may lose at election time. Think about the ones you may gain. Please do something right for our community. And I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
It's coming, Ed.
Okay, moving on to number 6.
Kim Smith, interim executive director for the Heart of Appalachia.
Pleasure, Susan, how are you all?
How are you?
Thanks for having me here tonight. Just around a folder to each of you before you came in. And in that folder is the Heart of Appalachia travel guide. This is the older travel guide. We have a new one going to print actually today. To give you a little background, Heart of Appalachia was founded by the General Assembly in 1993 to market the 7 westernmost counties of the state as a tourism destination. So a new travel guide is going to print today. This Appalachian Backroads map, it is our most requested piece. We distributed over 81,000 of these last year, with over half of those going out just directly from our office. Those were requests from the general public wanting this map to bring their motorcycle or their sports car into the region and ride. On the left side of your folder is a summary of an economic impact study we had done. We had it done last year. It covers the numbers from 2021. And for the Heart of Appalachia region as a whole, the visitor spending impact in the region was over $253 million, with 14.4 of that being in Buchanan County alone. So tourism really does bring a lot of economic impact to the region and to your localities. On the next page, you have a sheet that says website visitor locations. This is the data from our website. The Heart of Appalachia website, the visitors are coming in. The top 10 are coming from Nashville, New York, Atlanta, Ashburn, which is the Washington, D.C. area, Charlotte, Roanoke, Chicago, Kingsport, and Bristol. And for Appalachian Backroads, New York, Atlanta, Chicago, the Washington, D.C. area, Charlotte, Nashville, Raleigh, North Carolina, Washington, and Philadelphia. So that's where the top 10 visitors to our website, that's where they come from. So we're reaching a very, very broad nationwide audience here. A recent study on our visitors, 46% of them say travel is more important than ever before. Millennials are making up 39% of travelers today. 53% of them are seeking mountain destinations. 55% want historical attractions. And they want to be enriched through travel. So they're seeking connections to a region. They're seeking that authenticity and cultural experiences, immersion with local residents, and wellness and physically active vacations are becoming more important than ever before. So I've been in tourism since 2014, which is not a long time in the whole scheme of things, but I do see this as being a time when we as a region are positioned more accurately than ever before to market to what the visitors want. And it's up to us to do that. Buchanan County has been a good supporter of Heart of Appalachia in the past. We do have a line item in your budget, I believe, for $5,000 annually.
And we do really appreciate that. We get some funding through the legislature, through Richmond. When we go to ask for that funding every year, it really helps our case if the localities are buying into what we're doing. So I really appreciate what you all have done. We are great supporters of Southern Gap. We plan to be, I personally plan to camp up at Mountain Mayhem and volunteer and help out up there. We're trying to really, be out and help in the region more than ever before, even though we are now down to a staff of 3. So I welcome any questions. And again, I thank you all for your time this evening.
You don't have any questions?
I hear you say that there is 5,000 in the budget. Is there
I
5,000?
put a request in, you all funded us at 5,000 last year. So, Mr. Horn, I think, it was,
Not a lot, I think it's proven that. It's never been able to.
With that being said, I know you're new and I have heard good things that you're, trying to do some good things for the heart of Appalachia. And I hope for Buchanan County. So I did notice that we're finally have one of the, bike rides here, the, bootlegger. That's listed on the, that's the first thing I went to when I seen the brochure to see, because I actually, was quite upset at one time that we wasn't listed or no one had even tried to get anything listed on the brochure.
So, and just, you have a business card there, if anything like that ever comes up, please reach out to me. It's hard to be kind of omnipresent and know everything about all the different regions. But that might actually be one of the international award at the school of 19,000 print publications. So we're very proud of it.
There's a really good guy working here in Buchanan County. I don't know if you've met him or not. Matt Fields.
Oh, yes, I keep looking.
Matt is an ace. He does a great job. So work with him, keep us informed about what we got, or, if there's any needs, and we'll see what we can do about helping out.
Mr. Chairman, we have paid that out of the money we already budget in Matt's budget.
What?
It's already in Matt.
And Matt's, okay, then we're good. All right, thank you.
Okay, number 7.
Charlie Westbrook, Client Solutions Manager with Resource Environmental Solutions LLC, to consider adopting the Buchanan County Resilience Plan. Number 7.
Evening, I'm Charlie Westbrook with a company called Res, and I'm here tonight to be presenting the flood prevention plan. We started working with Buchanan County. This is Christina Hurley of Stantec, who's been a partner. We've been co-leads on the project for over a year. We have worked with staff and a number of people in this room, of course, and we've identified, as I think you have a copy of this to review, but we've identified goals. We've talked about the planning process. We've existing conditions summary, capabilities and capacity assessments, the risk assessments, and also with some recommendations of projects to help alleviate some of the flooding that's been going on in the county. We've interfaced with the planning team, who, again, a lot of members on that team are in here now. And we've also interfaced with the public to get correspondence and understanding about adoption of some of these aspects in order to be more accurate to on-the-ground capabilities.
There's some background. This plan was funded with a grant from the Community Flood Preparedness Fund, which is a state fund. And by adopting the plan and then submitting it to DCR for review and their approval, that also opens the county up for future funding through that program. And then also potentially for other federal programs as well, as we've identified in the action plan section of the plan.
I think they're requesting adoption of the plan. We have looked at it and met on it, met with Charlie, and we are okay with the plan.
I would recommend that the board adopt the flood resilience plan. I mean, it will set the stage potentially for getting further grants for actual flood mitigation projects, things that will actually help prevent flooding.
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Stiltner, do we have a second? Second by Mr. King, any discussion? Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Rice? Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank
We
you.
got to sit there all that time for that little bit.
Okay, let's move on to number 8. Mark Chambers, building code official, to consider revising the designated emergency response agencies at for the county of Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the reason that I am requesting this is because Rescue 33, who has the area we're standing in here, has not signed their DERA, which is our designated emergency response area. And with that being said, they're doing the majority of the transports out of Buchanan County. And so I get the reason that they can't staff it full time because it's very expensive to have you got an EMT and a driver sitting there at all times waiting to go out on call. And it's not feasible for them because they are a private company to do that. So what Knox Creek and Prater has agreed to is to split this area. And I need to ask the board if they would agree to allow Knox and Prater to split the area. I mean, at some point it has to be done. That way they can cover it because there's response times. We have to be there within 30 minutes. And if Knox knew that they had to cover this area, then they could better staff it. And if Prater knew that they had to cover down below ground, then they can better staff it.
So have you met with all the rescue?
They've actually been covered, as far as I'm concerned, it's financial, I don't know about greater, but as far as the bill and insurance and taxes and things, so.
I've actually got to ask for some money to help them out tonight. Cause the burden's just, we're basically covering Sweet Creek and.
We formulated a plan about a year ago that, I think the board voted on it, that designates money for the rescue squads that do the most bombing. And there's a payment that will be covered by that payment. We've done that, haven't we? That already been. Yeah. They've already issued the money. No, they didn't.
It was budgeted, it's in their appropriation.
Right, but we haven't, we issued them. Well, they're making $40 million right to us.
No, it's not in their expense.
Because of the prior years, it's based on the volume of calls that each of the, I know, prior not to.
It's already been put in their account. According to the percentage we came up with.
So I said there is some money there, extra for that. So you talked to Prater Knox.
Prater and Knox, yes, sir, has agreed to, I mean, to make one story short, what it's gonna be is we basically dropped it off at Elkins Branch. Knox is gonna have everything from the mouth of Elkins Branch to the West Virginia line. Prater is gonna handle everything from the mouth of Elkins Branch to the Kentucky line, with the exception of the Home Creek and Big Rock area. Knox said they could come down Home Creek and make that little road behind the railroad tracks and head back up and take that area.
So basically Mercy or Rescue 33 didn't want to do it in 911 calls.
I mean, they're doing extremely little. I would like to leave them as an alternate on it. If we have problems, which it doesn't matter, that they have problems, they have problems. The problem is, Mr. Stiltner, is the staffing of it. They have to have somebody there 24/7 in order to staff these things.
Biggest thing I see when we started paying these numbers of these people who are working at these rescue squads here.
Everybody, then, ain't no volunteers, about about 30. So, maybe, anybody. But, I understand that. But we can't have a huge number here, huge number here, and huge number here, make everything big. We gotta work out.
Something there where we can maintain that with 4 or 5, maybe instead of 20, you know, that's getting paid out of that area there. I don't know how you work it out, but I do know everybody needs rescue service, everybody needs ambulance service, everybody needs that there. But once we started paying, and the numbers keep increasing on these rescue squads there, then most, we could probably hire, I don't know who there. But if we keep on adding those employees on.
I don't have a problem paying these rescue squads, cause I mean, your house burning is one thing, I understand volunteers for a fire department. You know, in your bigger cities and things, firefighters are even paid, decent salaries, but, you know, there's a difference when your house burning or having a heart attack or a car wreck, and it's like over in council, and I know Tim's got some calls and so have I. We've got to figure out a way, and we're gonna eat the costs on that. We've got to get him a rescue squad over there.
Our problem right now, we're the only rescue squad that's fully volunteer, and we're limited on
Having
volunteers
to work.
that we have because there are 4 EMTs that we have all work full-time jobs. So we're wanting to work on something to get Oakwood, which, you know, I'll be asking for some money to help put a Band-Aid on this until we can figure out something possibly countywide or something, because the other ones are struggling too, you know, with the money and stuff, and we're, you know, like I said, we're very limited over there. We have low call volume.
If you call today, you're 4 or 5 months getting your money.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, I don't know about the numbers. We gotta set a number somewhere, and fix it out, especially for each, but be equal about it. Yeah, if there is,
Yeah, you hear what Martin said, we're paying our people next to nothing, $12, $13 an hour, and they're going to Richlands and places.
Well, that's what Prater Jamie told me. They're losing people because even with billing insurance, they can't pay what these people need. So, you know, we're gonna have to look at something countywide. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but we're gonna have to do something for these smaller areas. I think even Slate Creek is having problems with coverage and stuff.
Let me ask this. Okay, we've got our county rescue squads. Then we have 2 privately owned rescue squads who operate in this county but refuse to do a 911 call. Correct?
I wouldn't say, Mr. Stiltner, they refuse to do a 911
It's
call.
pretty much refuse if you don't take a call.
If they don't have the personnel to do
Well,
it.
I could sit here and tell you, I can have
Well,
10 people in my
I
office, and if I get a call, and I said, I ain't got the personnel to send that out. I mean, they've got to be something to where that they have to, if they're gonna operate in the county, then they need to have some sort of agreement that they're gonna answer so many calls a year, 911. And that takes the burden off of our / paid volunteer people. No, it's not. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, you start with 100,000, 200,000, and you're gonna be up $2 million before you know it. Now, I mean, we can't keep 50, 75 employees for ambulances when we've got 2 paid services in the county that they just pick and choose the high dollar transports that they want. That's basically what they're doing. They're cherry picking.
if you look at these figures.
See what we are spending on fire departments, rescue squads, and, really and truly, on the amount of money we're spending there, I think we could probably man 3 or 4 qualified people, if we could, at each one of these there to get some service in there. But what I was saying there, you can't hire 20 people here and keep adding them on, and then these others want to hire the same number of people in order to get the service on. And it's the same way, like anything that we look at there,
we look at the numbers and we see what district is getting this, what district's getting that, and how much money that we're getting. We gotta come up with something there where we can balance it out, where everybody can have the service, but we can't pay 20 people in every district there that's one service there.
I think we need to, cover their salaries and expenses, but what they bring in on their calls needs to come back to the county. That's how you solve the problem. We're gonna lose money on it, but we're providing the service to the county.
Something's gonna be, something's gonna have to be done because it just keeps getting worse, the situation does.
You know, Knox will cover itself for the most part, but council will struggle a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. We gotta have an ambulance service in council. We gotta have one in Brightwood. We gotta have one, we gotta have service for these people.
We do.
I mean, it's not worth, the money we waste. This is a good investment, in my opinion.
It's a priority that
Yes.
we gotta do something about. I mean, it's, something's gotta happen.
Well, my thing is, and y'all are on a good point, do you want me to look into making it a countywide service? And that way we do know what's going on. I mean, that's entirely you.
I know that we're one of the few left that don't do that.
If it's something that gets us better service at council, yeah, I'm all for looking at it.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, tell me a county that has a countywide service in Southwest Virginia.
Washington County just did it a couple months ago because
They employ every employee that, at the rescue squad.
no, they still have other rescue squads there, but they have Washington County EMS service.
Yes, so they're
They
not,
don't cover the entire county.
But they also have their Rescue 33s and their Mercies who does the transporting. See, if our guys transport, then the thing that kills Rescue 33 and Mercy is they do all these transports. Well, if I have a patient at Buck General or I have a patient at the nursing home down here and I gotta take them to Charleston, West Virginia, it takes a crew to do that, which leaves this area with no service. And then we've got to get Prater or Knox over here to make that happen. But we have to transport those people.
Something though has got to be done with cost. And this is one thing. Now, they took me to Bristol by ambulance. A trip to Bristol, $1,800. I said, well, I'll drive down there, you know, but they said, no, you can't because of the requirements they have when they're doing, you sending you from one place to another. But like I said, these requirements and everything there is, I don't know what we're going to do, but it just keeps climbing and climbing there.
I think Mr. Atkins has a good idea. Let's set up a committee. I was at Barton's last meeting, so I'd like to be on the committee. Okay, so me, Drew, and Trey, anybody else want on the committee? Okay, we'll set a committee to look at this with Bart and, you know, brainstorm and see what we can figure out and get some ideas on it.
We're gonna be on that also.
Huh?
Mr. Horn gonna be on that
Mr.
also.
Horn can be on it also, yes.
But the EMS council said that, you know, most jurisdictions, because they are having these problems, because it's really not
Feasible or monetarily sustainable to run 911 calls because there's really not enough money. So you're not getting these private companies to do that because they lose money doing it. And a lot of our counties, especially in Southwest Virginia, have had to go to a countywide system simply because that private companies cannot do it. They can't, they're losing money by running 911 calls.
You know, you might get paid 3 out of 10 times or something. That's the problem. We're that service part.
I mean, I know we're talking about setting up a committee, and, you know, there's issues, and, you know, this is, like Roger's saying, this is a broad problem that we've had for a long time, and we need to sit down and try to figure out what's the best way to, you know, use the county's funds, you know, to make this thing viable, you know, and for the long term. So I agree. I think we need to set a committee and do that. But I mean, do you recommend that we clean this up right now since Mercy and them can't do that? Yeah.
Yes, I think that area needs to be broken up right now that way. And the reason for that is if a call comes in right here, dispatch is gonna call 33 because they're number one on the list. If 33 has no one there, if they're in Columbus, Ohio, and Charleston, West Virginia, they can't get there. And we gotta put those 3 calls out by code before we call the second one. So if we
Mr. Chairman,
split it right now, Knox and Prater will be the first.
I'll
dude.
make a motion that we revise their map to Bart's recommendation. We have a motion.
Second.
Art, is there also a plan that goes with the map? I mean, do both need to be revised?
Yes, we will have to sign the there. Yes.
There's a map and a plan that need to be revised.
Include that in my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. King and a second by Mr. Stiltner. Any discussion?
Hearing none, Mr. Atkins, Mr. Branham, Mr. Stiltner.
Yes.
Mr. Wright, Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Mr. Chairman, man, Mr. Filner, about, I think it's 19 on there. I hate to ask, my grandbabies are here and they're leaving tomorrow morning, and if you have any questions about that, I hate to ask them to
Actually,
jump around, but
what I'm wanting to do is, come up with an ordinance or some kind of,
19, consider adopting resolution to require the removal, repair, or securing of dangerous structure which endanger the public health and safety of residents of Buchanan County.
I take it, Bart, you've gone out there with Austin and you've looked at it, and I presume it cannot be repaired and needs to be taken
Which one
down.
is this? The one on 604 or the one on left-hand fork of Home Creek?
Foster property.
Okay, now let me ask you this, the cleanup process on that. Is this the one that the taxes, that the cost will go to the landowners? Because there's like 70 of them.
Yeah, yes. I mean, we will have to assess the cost. If the county has to do the removal, or we have to procure a contractor to do the removal.
County can do it in about
But,
3 hours.
right, it's easier for us to do it if we can do it in-house. But the cost of that would be assessed against the property in the same manner as a unpaid delinquent real estate tax.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Stiltner. We have a second. Second from Mr. Brandon. Any discussion?
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Remove these. Have we ever run it? I've got a couple of them. It's a piece of this. I was like,
Mr. Wright, you're right. They're all over the county, and if there's grant money somehow out there to help us get rid of these things, take them down and dispose of it, I think we need to pursue that. Maybe this is something that Austin Looney could work on, but I think we need to give him at least a lead, because I don't know where to go for a grant.
something there to help us tear down this dilapidated buildings.
Sandy, could you search and see if there's any grants out there available? for
Mr.
this?
Chairman, we have contacted the Cumberland Plateau Planning District, who is our group that helps us with grants. And they had told us, Betty Milton, I think it was, wasn't it, Sandy? We talked to, Mr. Rife has made this request before about buildings being torn down. And she had told us that she would look into that. Of course, we haven't heard anything from the Cumberland Plateau. But she said also that we do get other grants that compete with those grants. So these other communities that are getting grants to tear buildings down might not be getting all the same things that we are, like extending water and other things on these CDBG funds. So we're still waiting on Miss Melton from the Cumberland Plateau to get back to us on how we can get a grant to tear down buildings. But she,
See Bluefield, Princeton, they're getting all this money for to remove, and I can't understand why. If they're getting a grant somewhere, whether it's state or whether it's whatever, I can't see why we don't apply for something there.
How do you vote, Mr. Wright? Yes. Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Branham? Mr. Atkins? And I'm a yes.
One quick question. Now, what's the time frame on getting this, since we passed this resolution, getting it torn down?
One of the things I did, I went back and looked at our ordinance. It was in the statute, and the time limit is 30 days, so that's what I put. Mine's actually got on fire. So we have to do the 30 days, but, you know.
Day 31?
The 30 days is measured by either when we get the return receipt of service by certified mail, or the last publication. We have to run the notice in the paper for 2 successive weeks. And so,
Day 31 is being torn
well,
down.
yes, but Mr. Stiltner, as we've discussed, because there are all these unknown owners or unknown heirs,
Day 31.
we'll
I
have
got
to, on day 31, I'll file a complaint in the circuit court, because what we're gonna have to do is an order of publication to be able to legally bind any unknown heirs or unknown, property owners. I mean, it's the only way I know to do it. And that will take approximately a month to 6 weeks to do the order of publication and have it put in the newspaper.
Mr. Moise, can I present you my Virginia Maintenance Code book and you look at it?
Do you have a quicker way of doing this?
That's what I need my attorney to say, yes, we can do this.
Would you please show it to me? If it's
I'm gonna
steam,
leave it here with you.
no, and highlight it, please.
And then I just need Mark.
Possibly.
Okay.
Thank you guys for letting me jump to that.
We'll get VDOT up, I think their ears are bleeding
Yeah.
back there.
Okay, let's go back to number 11, Jeff Buchanan, the Mail Counts, Virginia Department of Transportation Representatives.
You that close, Mr. Moise.
Appreciate you gentlemen working through the 6-year plan with us. You had no comments here. We had no comments either at the residency on the 6-year plan. So everything was smooth there, and we've got some asphalt down in some places last few weeks, potholes and surface, overlays, and ditching been pretty busy. Getting ready to start mowing. What have I left out, Mel?
Coming back to Route 83, they had to go
Yeah.
to Coconut Expressway, should be coming back the next day or so.
609, the breakout.
Yeah,
See my patience.
All right.
Anyone have any questions for VDOT?
Yes, I have a question. I always do there. New House Ranch. Could you give me any time frame or anything for whenever you're gonna fix that?
Got caught with a time of year restriction on our environmental permit, and let me find my note here, Mr. Wright. I believe that permit allows working either July or August, I believe it is. Let's see here, new house, let's see. So I said late, so I think we'll be able to get in there in August by the environmental permit.
I don't know, y'all wasn't here last board meeting, but I said this. On county roads, state roads. I don't know how many miles of state roads you got, but I do know one thing. I know how many men you've got. They told me that number. And it's the same thing I say in the county road system. We got 700 county roads. We got 2 crews to keep them up. That's not possible. We need more manpower, and we need some way or another to see our senators and our delegates to see if they can get us a little bit more money in these rural counties when you see all this action taking place. I'll give an example from Abingdon or the major freeways there. But the rural areas don't get
very little service there. Now, I know our population don't exist, but I say this. I was in Richmond one day with the Secretary of Transportation, that's been 10 years ago. And she said, we don't have the traffic count to warrant. I said, but the reason we don't have the traffic count is we don't have no roads to run on. If we had roads, we would get more traffic. Now I'm talking about from 460 from Claypool Hill down to the Kentucky line. We just simply have been left out. You know, it's supposed to be 4-lane all the way to Kentucky line. What did they change? Said they didn't have the money. So they go on 2 lanes, 3 lanes. But why? Why do we or can't never get, and I know it's a hard fight in Richmond, but I think sometimes we should be able to get a little bit of work done
in our rural areas versus what they get in the major cities. I know they got good transportation, I mean, they traffic, yeah. But we also have to use roads too. Sooner or later, you pay the state taxes, you do everything, but hardly ever get it back.
shut up on that there, but that is
618 road, you look at the 618, then you think back on it.
We had, the area headquarters superintendent up there, I guess, Friday, week ago Friday, you and I text, I know he went up there and sent some pictures back and, with the Coal Committee meeting last week, we got some funds designated to get up there. I don't know exactly when we're going to get there, but we'll be doing some stuff up there.
Mr. Atkins, do you have anything to be on? I thought, Brand,
Yeah, I just, there's a break off about a half a mile up in Belfast Fork also. If you can check on that, maybe see if we can get some baskets or some, stone put in that.
Only thing I was gonna ask about, I know we've talked about it several times, and you all have fixed it several times, with the road up there going on Southern Gap Road, I know they haul stuff out of there. It's not in as terrible
Going
shape
down.
as it can get, you know,
Yeah.
but it's starting to deteriorate.
Coming back
again.
down 744.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was another answer to that or not, because I mean, it gets pretty bad at times where, I mean, you can't even drive through it. People, you know, veer off into the other lane, kind of dangerous, you know.
With some of our funds and some CST funds, we do have that slated to do some more resurfacing coming down 744 and also on 83 coming down from 744 down towards Van Sant. We're sort of juggling that timing to get as much out of each layer of asphalt as we can. What we got down late last fall, I guess it was probably December, I think, the last time, held pretty well through the cold. It's starting to get warm now, and the trucks are still loaded. It's very much on our radar. You'll probably see some hand patching before you see the resurfacing, quite honestly. Just we're trying to get so we get through the end of the year and get through the winter when we can't get asphalt as best we can. But it's
One of the things, I don't know, I mentioned this in a meeting, I don't know if it was you guys or, you know, with VDOT a couple of years ago. Had there been any headway made on looking at that intersection down there? You know, I know we discussed that about, you know, people pulling out, because I get a lot of people telling me that they have like close calls there, because when they're pulling out, they'll get pulled out before they even see somebody coming up over the top.
a warning system. It wouldn't be physical changes to the roadway system, but a detection system to, I can't remember which way, who gets detected, who gets warned, but I believe we had it set up so that when a car comes down, a vehicle comes down 744, it triggers an alert signal on 83.
Yeah, anything would help, because you know there's some issues there, especially when people pull out on the road.
And there's more stuff being looked at and built up there, so message received.
Anybody else want to ask me?
Did you find out anything on that shoulder crest that you think I mentioned to Chad a year about?
I know, I think Chad Chad was out of the office today and I'm not trusting my memory to him exactly who he talked to. I think he got over and looked at him. I don't know if he's made contact with him, but as far as I know, he'll be in office tomorrow and one of us will circle back to you and let you know where we stand on that. So it was on my mind Friday and I lost it Friday. He wasn't there today. I apologize.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else have anything else?
We have got $50 million in grants for Hurley Water. 50 million for the Hurley water lines are. And hoping we will get through and finish those up. So we can get some grants for something else besides that water there now. Over the years there, the Cumberland Plateau there, I believe I've seen them out there. Buchanan County's got $140 million in grants through the Cumberland Plateau. So there's grants out there. We just need to get somebody to go get them, okay? Thank you, boys.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Okay, moving on to number 14, Marcus Stiltner, Coal Road Engineer, Coal Haul Road Engineer.
Mr. Chairman, the first thing I have is, most important that I have on the agenda. Consider approving the fiscal year 23-24 co-roll plan and adopting a resolution for a priority plan pursuant to Virginia Code Section 58.1, 371301 regarding the $1.35 million, which is part of the 23-24 co-roll plan to be set aside for the sewage treatment plant. I sent you all a copy of the co-roll plan through email for those of you that have email last week. And the co-roll plan has been part of your agenda packets. It should be noted that as part of the plan, it also includes a salary increase for my secretary, Becky Justice, to bring her up to $45,000. I'd like the board to consider making a motion to approve the plan as presented.
That also includes, we changed, everybody's share from 300,000 to 350,000 on our road work that we did each year.
300,000. Who did you say getting the range?
The total co-roll plan amount is $17,108,102. How much is the raise? Are you recommending a raise?
I recommend the raise.
That's not what I asked. Well, I asked Mr. Stiltner, who works with her. I knew I was gonna be asked this question, and I'm prepared to answer. You know, has her job duties changed drastically? No. Has anybody's lately that's got that $5,000 raise changed? No. You know, I was thinking, how am I going to answer this question? You know, I was thinking the one thing that she has done and that I completely forgot about because I didn't put my hands on it was she scanned every document that we've had in our code office for the past 40 years. You know, every document that we've had. You know, I don't know if you've ever done any scanning or not. That's very time consuming, very difficult. But she makes $38,000 a year to do that, right? And she makes. Plus she got the percentage raise that we got this year, correct? Yeah. And then
That takes her up to
and that brought her up to 38,000. This $45,000 will not include the 7% raise.
Kind of beating around the bush here. I'm asking if you're recommending her a raise, not Mr. Atkins. I'm asking if you're the one she works for, not Mr. Atkins.
Well, they actually both work for us, Craig.
No.
To get right down to it, everybody sitting in this room works for us.
No,
This
not-
board, they all work for us. Craig works for us, Marcus works for
I'm
us.
asking if,
And I'm just telling you.
Did she ask for the raise? No. That's why they're not come to the budget meeting before when I asked for the other two, bridge crew employees to get their raise. She did not ask for it, you know, but she didn't ask for it, I'm not gonna present it to the budget meeting. But it was brought in front of the committee, Tuesday on the 25th. And, you know, I would recommend that you give her the raise because of, you know, if nothing else, of the scanning that she's done. But I mean, you're talking 20-some filing cabinets is what you're talking.
One thing I
Which she made $38,000 a year for. Not just scanning,
Compared to some of the other employees we brought in here that does nothing.
that's part of the point.
Well, one thing I appreciate is you speaking, is a little different than what we've had before, as these employees on their own come and ask for raises on their own. I like it in the format of a supervisor, of a leader coming here and saying, hey, this person does this work, they vouch for them, they say they deserve this, they do this type of work. To me, that's the chain of command we need to follow. That's the way this thing's supposed to work, because she reports to you and works up that way. And you can't deny what Trey said, you know, everybody works for us, but, you know, hearing you vouch for somebody, that's a big deal. So you're asking for a total 7%.
It takes her from $38,000 and some odd change to $45,000. That's what it takes.
And she's not asking for a raise. What we've had to do is to try to stay within the boundaries and the guidelines of what we've kind of created here. And that's what Craig's trying to do, and trying to stay online with that. We want to get these people to where they're at. And, you know, we've set these guidelines and these boundaries to follow. We need to.
You know, here's the problem. We've got secretaries who are making $50,000 to $65,000 a year. What's the highest paid sanitation person that you have, Benji, working either on driving a truck with CDLs or a helper? All right, with how many years?
30.
All right, and then how about the helpers? Max, what's the highest paid one?
Highest paid helper is 39.
I'm almost certain that working on a sanitation truck all day long in 20-degree weather, 10-degree weather to 100-degree weather, slinging cans all day is pretty much harder than scanning a few documents. That's the point I'm making. We're all the time trying to give raises to secretaries. I've tried to get those guys in sanitation a raise for 12 years, and nobody wants to talk about it. Tried to do it once before, man. We got shot down in a hurry because we was worried about cutting a few, and then, I mean.
I supported the sanitation department, but I want to be clear, Becky does more than, scans documents. She does minutes. She does basically everything that's done in the office. Am I not correct?
I'm not secretary work for $38,000 a year that you want to raise to 45. People make it on 45. And, well, again, you're used to your salary, Mr. Stillman, but if you had to, you would. All right, how much your guys make it in on again there, Benji? 38, 39, 32?
31.
They're making it.
Just so we're clear, Becky's not getting a 7% raise on top of 45,000. Are y'all hearing me?
40, up to 45,000.
She's not getting an additional 7 beyond the 45. 45 is where she maxes out at. The 7 don't play no more. That's out the window. She starting July the 1st, she's at 45. She don't get 7 beyond that.
Well, she can get the 7, she'll get the 7%, but if we allow what you're talking about and agree to give her, it does that, but she's not eligible for anything else.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's nothing else. It's
not 7,000, 7%.
July 1st.
She gets 7%, which puts her at 40, well, just a
40,000
tick over
from
40,000. Right?
Mr. Branham and I.
But if you
worked on
take her to
a
40.
salary scale for 2 years.
Will not include any percentage rate.
And we presented, they broke it the first month.
What we came up with, if you get nothing else, and during that year, we can do it, and it includes that to get to that point. But there's at no time in that fiscal year you can make any other changes to that.
That's correct.
So, what point? What are you trying to get her to?
45. This is a budgeted item. This is not something I'm coming to you, it's not in our budget. It was approved by the committee to be presented to you all today.
That don't mean we have to support it.
I'm just explaining.
Oh, I understand. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not voting for no more secretaries' raises until sanitation helpers get a raise. Those guys work 10 times harder than any secretary, no offense, than any secretary we've got. And they make almost half the money.
There's a lot of
I
people.
mean,
in town
anybody can scan a
overpaid.
paper. That's not a hard job.
Can't speak on the helper. That's up to you all.
Agree. But again, we've got sanitation helpers over here that he said they've been here for years making 39.
Jeff, she got crapped on for years and years and years, part-time years, didn't get her insurance for years. And finally, I got her on full-time, but she got crapped on for years and years and years. So the way I.
He
see it, this is
accepted the
back
job.
pay. She sure did. And,
Yeah.
people that were in the know here got big raises and got overpaid and got set flat their ass and do nothing. I won't even get into that, but we got secretaries, we got park managers, we got all kinds of people getting overpaid, but it is what it is. I'm gonna make a motion to approve this as is.
I'm not voting no. My vote is no for the raise. I'll vote for the budget, no on the raise. I'm not voting.
Motion on the floor as is. Up to 45,000. If you count 7%, she's getting about what, $3,000?
No. The 7% will take us to $40,000.
$5,000 raise, right?
Marcus, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend on A that you break that up into two separate motions. One in regards to the resolution for the priority plan is one motion, and then the other motion in regards to the Coal Road plan.
Okay, the PSA money, I'm gonna do the, PSA Coal Road plan first, as is, as presented, motions on the floor.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Atkins and a second by Mr. Branham. Any discussion?
Oh, this is the Coal Road budget, Coal Road plan for PSA. Yeah.
Any discussion? Mr. Cooper? Yes. King? Yes. Wright? Yes. Mr. Stiltner? Yes. Mr. Branham? Mr. Atkins? And I'm a yes. I'll make a motion to approve the,
Item A for the PSA.
The resolution for the fire.
Correct. There's a motion on the floor. Second. That's what PSA. That's part of the.
Bethlehem Road in this? Is Bethlehem Road in anywhere in your budget? I thought it was gonna be.
That's the first
I've heard Bethlehem Road.
Seriously.
We presented it.
When did we?
You did present it, but yet they declined.
When did that?
Okay, I'd like to know the last time that Rock Lake District asked for any money out of the Coal Road.
I don't remember.
PSA meeting 2 meetings ago.
Was I there? I didn't miss the last 2 minutes. I don't remember.
Mr. Atkins voted no.
They all voted no.
They all voted no.
Yes.
Even my representative.
Yes.
What was the issue with the road?
What, I mean, what's the problem?
It's a $1.5 million project for 4 residents.
That's not the number you gave me, Bob.
That's what the estimate is for.
Who gave the estimate of $1.5 million?
Top split.
You could run a,
I remember, I don't remember the
There's a
road.
pump station involved and it's like 2,700 foot.
There was, what, 5 projects?
What was the number
We
that
voted
you
for
told
it.
me,
Now,
Bob?
we picked one of the 5.
what was the number that you gave me for Bethlehem Road?
Well, my estimate's like $800,000. But when we got an engineer, it's 1.5 million, 1.56 million.
So that's kind of like one of them VDOT things. And every time
Copy of that estimate.
it was, anytime you asked VDOT for something, it was always a $10 million estimate. That's the going rate that they don't want to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm not an engineer.
But you're, I mean.
I don't remember
What it
that.
would cost. It's only
Specific.
going to cost $1.5 million to do a pumping station and run a line to 4 houses.
Yeah.
I'm not a rocket scientist, just like the gentleman here spoke earlier about, what kind of engineer? Electronic engineer, whatever.
But I'm
He's
smart
still
enough
here.
to know it don't take $1.5 million to build a pumping station to go to 4 houses.
Well, I mean, that's what that's about.
Oh, again, I could pop the estimate out there at anything I want if I don't want the project to be done.
Just so we're clear, Mr. Stilton understands, when there was like, what, 5 roads listed that night, they didn't tell us what district they were in. They said the road name, 5 projects. I still don't remember that specifically, but, there was like 5 projects presented to the board. I think we picked one of the 5, and that, there was like,
Which one
the other 4.
Which one got picked?
Red range, because it's 23
Which one?
plus 5 additions.
Which one?
Web range.
That's up by Mac Construction up there.
How many years you been down there, Rob?
4.5.
Okay, have I ever asked for any projects in my district? Go back and research how many times I've asked Marcus to put anything in, out of the coal road into my district. 0. And I asked for 1 and I get shot down in 12 years. 1 in 12 years I asked for and I get shot down. I will remember that one.
Let me, ask the question again, Ms. Dillon, yes, sir. How much is the request you got in for the county budget different from the coal road plan?
Separate from the coal road plan,
Yeah,
1 point, I want to say Tricia, like 1.3 million.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's request.
It was
about
$200,000.
$2 million.
It was this year, let's say 1.3. Yeah, 1.3. We can't, the correct answer to your question is, we can't run water to houses for $250,000 a house. There's just no way that PSA can do that.
You told me we could, Bob. I said, you said that we would put it in the coal road budget. That's what I was told.
Presented to the coal road for the, board, my board has to approve everything that I do.
I understand that.
Hold on a second. Let's be clear about something, because I sit on both boards. So let's be clear how this took place. There was 5 projects presented to the PSA board. They didn't tell us what district it was in. If it would have been in Knox district, I would have recognized it. I couldn't tell you any of the 4 others besides the one we picked. None of the projects of the 5 were in the Knox district, simply because, like Roger said earlier, we've run $50 million worth of water lines the last 12 years. So we're just getting water. So first of all, let's be clear on that. The PSA board did vote 8-0, pick the 1 out of the 5. That was the one we picked because of the number of houses. Couldn't tell you where the other 4 is, don't know where the roads are, didn't know it was in Craig's district or whose district it was in. That was the plan presented to the coal road committee, which I also sit on, from the PSA board, which is a part of this that we're approving because the PSA board picked that project to put in their plan. So, you know, the PSA has to pick it first to present it to the coal road committee and then to this board here. So that's how that happened. And out of the 5 projects, correct me if I'm wrong, and Carl can witness, I think the other 4 had like less than 5 houses each, and they were all around $1 million a piece, was they not?
That is correct.
I can tell you right now, there's no way in God's green earth it'd take $800,000 to build a pumping station to go to those 4 homes.
It's 1.2.
It won't take 1.2. It's a pumping station and line to 4 houses.
Pump station's only 250,000
Okay, so there's 200,000, then line to 4 houses. Now, how do we jump $1 million to run line to 4 houses? If that's the best that Thompson and Linton can come up with, you need to fire them immediately.
Well, they got nothing to do with Thompson Lit.
Well, they came back with over $1 million price tag on a $300,000 job.
You can't do that $300,000.
What?
And then I need to hire you, because we got all.
$250,000 for a pumping station. You do it in-house, and lay your own line to those 4 houses. So then you have material.
Well, then we're gonna have to go over 50 employees. We can't keep the links.
You ain't gonna tie up 50 employees.
I will gladly, when we sit in these meetings, we sit in here tonight, we've met people, you got your permit guy back here, I haven't went up and went over that with him. That's why we pay Craig Horn $120,000, Lee $120,000, and Sandy whatever she gets, and all this staff we got. That's why we have staff at PSA, that's why we have staff at all these, Marcus, co-road engineer. I work every day. So our staff goes out, they come to these meetings, that's why I got aggravated at Lee earlier, having this man here, not having this problem worked out. I'm not finished. So here's the deal. When a problem like this comes up, I don't have a problem going and looking at this with Craig. If there's a way of resolving it and getting it in the budget, I'm fine with it. When we sit in these meetings, we get presented from Thompson and Litton or Bob or Craig or whoever with the information they're supposed to have us, which is supposed to be legit, and we vote on it. That's how it works. We do not have time. It would be a full-time job going around and looking at all this stuff. That's why we have staff. So now that this is an issue, and I do sit on the co-road committee and I do sit on the PSA board, I will gladly go look at this project with Craig. He's clearly upset. I don't have a problem with that. We'll work it out. Fair enough?
We had a motion on A in a second, right?
I made a motion. I don't know who seconded it.
May say,
That is the information we
Say
got.
how much is in the budget there for the, request for the, PSA?
There's water lines. I can look at it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll go with you.
How much? 1.9. And this is another 2 million here from the coal road there.
1,350,000. 350,000 going to the sewer plant.
No, actually, 1,350,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. We bumped it up at Craig's, request. This whole amount, 1,350,000 is going in the bank for the sewer plant. Additional money.
We had a motion by you in a
It
second.
is, but it's still money. Now, what I was trying to figure out is how much the PSA was asking for total there with this money plus the money that they were asking in the county budget. Now, that total there comes up to me there, we've got about $4 million worth of requests from a PSA. And the two budgets, total road and the county budget. Now, all I'm saying is, everything is a priority, but what we're doing there is really just picking, like I asked that request today there, for appropriations by district and current year account balances as to how much each district has spent. Now, I know if it's ever,
Actually, that's how much they have left. That's how much you have left.
Copy of that tomorrow. Where's it
even
at?
I laid it on.
as we could on how much money we were spending per district per year. Now, in the figures I get there, South Grundy is getting the least money of anybody in the whole county. Now, it should be fair for every district as far as we can. Then we also look at needs and emergencies. If it's emergency, we help the other district. But if you just going out there and getting more money for your district, that's good politics. You go back and brag to the people how much you got or whatever there.
Hey, if you're talking about me, just spit it out, bro. If you
What?
mention the water, are you talking about me?
Did I call your
Well,
name?
you mentioned the water earlier. We sat over here for years and years without water. You mentioned that earlier. If you got something on your chest, get it off
I
your chest.
also know whenever they wanted to run water to Hurley.
We beat this damn horse for how long? When y'all sat over here and drunk clean water, and we drunk shitty water in Hurley too, didn't we? I can't help that a handful of people didn't want water, or thought they didn't want it, when they didn't know no better.
I know.
What's the
they
point
know
of it?
about but
We've waited 50 years since you had water to get water, and we're finally getting it, and we get it shoved in our face, because there's been $50 million worth of water run in Hurley, and it's about damn time.
I'm glad you're getting the water.
I'm
but
tickled
telling
shitless.
you that, well,
Well, they were spending out here, look, we spent $20 million at Southern Gap, and we got a roller coaster when we go across the road. You have to put your seatbelt on to not fall out the window.
Let's move on.
Can you run something for somebody?
You got sewer over here
water?
too. You got sewer over here when we have to put a sewer system in. We don't have the luxury of a sewer system like Grundy does. We have to put a sewer system in, which is $8,000 to $15,000 a house. I mean, if we're gonna talk about it and brag about it, let's talk about it.
Let's move on. We've got a motion.
I'd say we better.
Second on the floor. Let's go ahead and vote on this. Mr. Atkins? Sure. Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner? On the $1,350,000 for the sewage treatment plant? Yes. Mr. Wright?
We're not in discussion period, Mr. Chairman, because if he discussed it, I discussed. We're not in discussion period anymore per Robert's Rules of Order.
King, Mr. Cooper? Yes. Okay. Spot B. There you go. That was A, wasn't it? We gotta do each one of these separate.
I'm gonna make a motion that we do B, C, D, E, F, and G, that we approve all those requests. Motion on the floor.
Can we do that, please?
Just specify that those are 14 and those are sub.
Correct.
14 B, C, D, E,
Add that to
F.
my motion. It's
And-
all PSA money.
and
All
G.
PSA. I'm tired of sitting here tonight.
And-
How about that?
Yes, sir. G is on the next page.
I said G.
You did? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to approve number 14, B through G. We have a second. Second by Mr. King. Any discussion?
On the F, $59,288.69 for pump stations. What does that consist of?
Pump stations, that's pump stations, Craig, it's all of them, that's changing the pumps, changing the, pump stations, putting roofs on them, rebuilding pump stations. We do rebuild pump stations in-house.
Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner?
I'm still trying to look at. What's the rise of road? What's that?
That is Lucas Creek.
Hey, while he's thinking, we got a gym over there 10 years ago, and we got a $1 million project down on Elk Creek while I've been supervisor. Did a lot of wonderful things over there, and I fought for every inch of it.
Yes. Mr. Wright?
Yes, I'm gonna vote for it, but that's a total of $4 million. Any way you look at it, they're at one whack for the budget there. And then I'll say this and answering to Mr. Atkins there, and I'll shut up. But I was on the PSA board whenever you were wanting to charge the people at Hurley $200 to hook up, when it was $700 for everybody else in the county.
Lake Creek paid $50 a hookup, Roger. $50. 50. They waited 50 years on water, and the PSA was trying to charge and did charge $750 to $900. I didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with it today. I didn't agree with it then. I'm not going to agree with it tomorrow.
Let's go ahead and move on. Finish the vote. Mr. King, yes. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
I didn't say, I thought the raise was gonna be done separate.
No, that was the PSA money. I asked for the toll road to be approved as is.
I did too. I'm not saying I'm against it, I just didn't think I was voting for it.
I said I wanted to approve it as presented, if you remember. Y'all are more than welcome to change it.
Part of the total budget was approved.
It was 5,000. Yeah, calculate it out, that's right, right.
I think it's a 45,000.
Yeah, I was.
It's fine with me now. I also agree with what Craig said.
Make a motion now, I vote.
I'm not voting for another raise. I don't care who, what, where, when, until we address the situation with the sanitation helpers. Period.
What your drivers make, Benji?
Drivers are at 51 something. I don't know, 51.7.
What about your helpers?
They're scattered out. The newest hires are around 31 something, I think. 33, 35. I know one of them's close to 40 that drive the extra truck, the little truck.
CDLs and any,
No,
oh,
he
the
doesn't
little
have
truck,
CDL.
but how many years has he been there?
22, 23.
The secretary's making more than that with less years.
What'd you say your helpers is at? 30 what,
They
roughly?
range from 31 something to say 40. That's without CDLs, that's the help. All of these, we only classified as a driver, the 51 side.
Well, let's look at it and vote on it, because I supported it last time. We need to look at it, the whole board needs to look at it.
Get them boys a raise. Hardest working crew they are. Huh?
You got a recommendation?
You wanna hear it? 8,000 for the helpers.
We're sitting here griping about PSA and what PSA's asking for, and they're some of the lowest paid in the county, are they
Let's talk
not?
about that.
Do you see anybody, even a trash truck driver, and listen, trash truck driver's a tough job, driving back in the truck in the cold, lay down in a water hole in the cold, fix a water line. I've done it.
Let's go ahead and move on. We'll be here all night. Number 15.
Hey, that's the, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. That's the board.
Let me read it. Consider approving the following land use permits from CNX Gas. Take it, Marcus.
First one, I believe needs to be its own motion. It's on the, it's a pipeline crossing on County Road 5445, located in the Garden Magisterial District, which is Davis Mountain Road.
Motion on this.
Second.
Second by Mr. Stiltner. Any discussion? Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Wright? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper? And I'm a yes.
Second one, Mr. Chairman, I'd like the board to consider another pipeline crossing on County Road 5440, located in the Garden Magisterial District.
Motion by Mr. Stiltner, we have a second. Second by Mr. Branham. Any discussion? Mr. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Atkins? Yes. Looking at you. Mr. King? Yes. Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Branham? I'm a yes.
The third and last one, I'd like the board to consider the pipeline crossing for County Road 5420, Whetstone Branch and Garden Magisterial District.
We have a motion. Motion by Mr. Stiltner, second. Second by Mr. Cooper, any discussion? Mr. Atkins? Yes. Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Wright? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper? Yes. And I'm a yes.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Oh, I do too. You don't have anything for me? Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus. Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to allow Billy Campbell to give me an estimate on Bethlehem Road pumping station and what it costs to run those 4 houses.
There's a motion on the floor. Second, Mr. Atkins, any discussion? Mr. Cooper? Yeah. Mr. King? Yeah. Mr. Wright?
Just to see how much it is. I want an estimate on it.
Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Brandon? Mr. Atkins? I'm a yes. Okay, number 16, public hearing at 6:30, which we're way behind, to hear public comments regarding the proposed fiscal year 23-24 general county budget. Have anyone want to make any comments? Nobody online, Ken? Motion to close public hearing. We have a second. Somebody second. Mr. Atkins? Mr. Brandon? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Rice? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, 17, public hearing to hear public comments regarding the proposed ordinance entitled General County Budget, including Dog Tax Fund, Law Library Fund, and the Head Start Program Fund, school budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 23 to June the 30th of 24, and levy for the tax year commencing January 1st, 2023.
Motion.
We got this public hearing.
Oh, motion to close public hearing. You didn't close public hearing.
I know, but it's another public hearing.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was adoption.
Nobody online? Next.
Motion closed. Motion closed.
Second. Mr. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Rice? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, number 18, consider adopting resolution proclaiming May of 2023 as Older American Month.
I ain't got mine. Old folks card, senior citizen.
Two seconds. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second on for any discussion. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King? Mr. Wright? Mr. Filtner? Mr. Brandon? Mr. Atkins?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Hey, here's the good part. I got $50 million in water lines and they're gonna take 87 million from me from the school and build them one at Southern Gap. Make sure you get that comment in the paper.
Moving on to number 20. Consider approving the following additional appropriations. We have a motion. Yeah.
Election time, man. Everybody's so cute election time. I just love it. They just, you know, yeah.
We have a motion to approve the following appropriations. $22,335.
22 is for
The Republican primary.
Register's
That's right.
What number? You said 22, I think 22.
20. I didn't say 22, did I?
Craig did,
Okay.
22,000.
He said,
That's in the first bullet item under number 20.
I'll just let Danny back there.
That's to pay back the people, Trish, is that to pay back the?
Reimburse the candidates that were unopposed.
My money back?
get you $140.
You're opposed. You're
No,
opposed.
he's unopposed in the primary.
No, in the primary.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to get my money back.
Okay.
You gonna give it back, Danny? Treasurer, give it back to me?
Make that motion, Mr. Stiltner.
I did, I want my money back.
We have a second. Mr. Cooper, seconded.
I'm gonna
Mr.
apply toward
Atkins.
that water up there on Bethlehem Road.
Mr. Branham, Mr.
Wouldn't take
Stiltner,
much more to fit it in.
Mr. Stiltner,
Yes.
Mr. Wright, Mr. King, Mr. Cooper, and I'm a yes. Number 21, consider approving bid and contract regarding replacement installation of 5 heat pumps at the Buchanan County Public Library. Authorize the chairman, county administrator to execute contract with approval as performed by the county attorney.
Make a motion to approve.
How many bids, I looked at, what was there, just one on
I
it?
got it laying here.
One, you don't have a copy of it.
None of the low bidders, yes, they met everything we asked for.
And Jeff recommends that we take the legal review.
You already recommended it, Kenna?
We have some, air conditioners that operate on straight electric heat at that, so it will be beneficial, and those units have 20+ years on most of them. They're just a lot of work every spring, and then in the summer they're down a lot of the times. But, it is a good upgrade at this time that it probably should be done.
I get a motion.
You need rescue money?
These are in our budget for ARPA.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's run a trend on that later bill, see what it's saying about. Mr. Atkins, Mr. Branham, Mr. Stiltner,
Yes.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. King, and I'm a yes.
I'd be eager to see how much that
Mr.
takes.
Chairman, who's up to the bid?
Sarnes Incorporated for $149,000. Number 22, consider approving bid and contract regarding the replacement and installation of 7 heat pumps at the Buchanan County Government Center and authorize the chairman, county administrator to execute the contract with approval as performed by the county attorney.
Motion.
I'd like for you to take option number one, which is for Stars Inc. at $164,000.
That's backwards on mine.
That's a loan.
Starnes,
Option number one does some optional things that were in the bid. We can decide whether we want to do it or not, if it's in the wall. It depends on that stuff in the wall replaced rather than that.
okay, option number one is heating and cooling for 164. On mine,
Well, that's not in line. Those, whoever wrote this down, it's gone. The next page behind that. Okay, so it is gone. Yes, sir.
how much?
164,000. Yes. On the second page. I was confused about that too. We just talked about it. Whoever wrote this on this cover sheet.
Make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second, from Mr. Branham. Any discussion? Mr. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. 23, consider approving the agreement with Slurry Pavers Incorporated regarding stockpiling at Southern Gap Raceway. We have a motion on the floor, we have a second. We have a second, any discussion? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Branham?
Yes.
Mr. Atkins? And I'm a yes. 24, consider approving to advertise for quotes for the following: motor oil, synthetic oil, and lubricants,
Motion.
heating oil and off-road diesel fuel, and on-road fuel. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Atkins? Yes. Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Wright? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Number 25, consider approving to advertise for sealed bids for janitorial supplies used by
Motion.
county departments and offices. We have a second we have a motion and a second. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King? Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Atkins? And I'm a yes. 26, consider approving to advertise for sealed bids for office and data supplies used by county departments and offices.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King? Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Branham? Mr. Atkins? I'm a yes. 27, consider approving the 23-24 renewal proposals for self-insurance for property, liability, automobile, workers' compensation coverage for Buchanan County from Virginia Association of Counties Group Self-Insurance Risk Pool. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King? Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Branham? Mr. Atkins? And I'm a yes. 28, consider scheduling a public hearing for Monday, June the 5th at 6:15 PM to hear public comments regarding the revision to the Buchanan County Erosion and Sediment Control Ordinance as mandated by Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. We have a motion and a second. Drew. Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Wright? Mr. King? Mr. Cooper? And I'm a yes. The 29, consider scheduling a public hearing for Monday, June the 5th at 6:30 to hear public comments regarding an amendment to the small purchase procurement ordinance. We have a motion by Mr. Stiltner, a second by Mr. King, Mr. Atkins, Mr. Branham, Mr. Stiltner, Mr. Wright, Mr. King, Mr. Cooper. And I'm a yes. Yes.
Okay. 32, consider approving
Following additional appropriations. We have a motion by Mr. Stiltner and a second by Mr. Wright. Any discussion? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King? Mr. Wright? Mr. Stiltner? Mr. Branham? Mr. Atkins? And I'm a yes. Consider approving and issuing payment for contributions. Everybody looks at contributions?
We wait after, closed session deal.
Okay, number 34. Consider ratifying the following temporary part-time weed cutters and litter cleanup employees. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Rife?
Yes.
Mr. Stiltner?
Yes.
Mr. Atkins? Mr. Branham? I'm a yes. Okay, number 35. Yeah. Consider approval to hire the following temporary part-time employees for lifeguards concession at the council pool for the summer season 23. We had some changes. We took off Tony Rasnick and added Sarah Rose and Amber Christian. Hmm.
Do
we have a motion?
Corporate house is for those lifeguards for summer, yeah. They're
They're like minimum wage, don't they? The minimum wage at 28 hours a week.
Yeah, I mean, overall cost, what I was.
Some of them don't even do the 28 hours. I don't know what the cost would be. We have a motion, Mr. Stiltner. Yes. We have a second, Mr. Branham. Any discussion? Mr. Atkins, Mr. Branham, Mr. Stiltner, Mr. Rife,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Consider closed session.
Yeah.
We have
Under 2.2 A, 8. Items. Consideration of the IMS contract for Willowbrook. Consideration of renewal of the technical contract for Willowbrook. And then 3, the issue of the pipeline crossing on property which, on the county's property, which the closed landfill is located. Then under 2.2, 3711A, salaries for public works employees.
I need to put on there the, personnel from my ambulance too,
Or what?
my ambulance personnel.
motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Atkins. Yes. Mr. Branham. Mr. Stiltner. Mr. Rife. Mr. King. Mr. Cooper.